Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Welcome back, everyone. This is a mechanical breakdown of the classes. This is not a guide for any one particular class, just enough to make people understand how they play and what they uniquely bring to a party, to help people decide what is the right class for them. But first, there are two important terms that everyone needs to understand. First, the GCD, or the global cooldown. These are your weapon skills. When you press one, you have to wait 2.5 seconds to press another one. And OGCDs, those are your off global cooldown abilities. You can press these buttons at any time and they will come out. They are not affected by the global cooldown. But if you want to use a second OGCD, the animation for the first one has to finish. Normally you can fit in 2 of these during the global cooldown. Today we're talking about the tanks, the guys and gals at the front of the party that hold the enemy's attention. First up is Paladin, the Holy Defender. Paladin as a class is known for 2 things: its damage, being generally the second highest of the tanks, and its ability to protect its teammates. It's no slouch in defending itself, but with a self or party member heal and 2 abilities to protect your party, it's etched out a very clear role defensively. Using the Oath Gauge, which is filled by landing auto attacks, it can block incoming attacks, reduce the damage a party member will take, or take on all the damage that a party member will take for 12 seconds. Offensively, Paladin has 2 melee combos, one that applies a dot and another that prepares the use of Atonement, which is a heavy hitting attack that also refills your mana, feeding perfectly into Requiesce, which is a move that increases the healing or damage done by your spells while removing the cast time. Paladin is perfect for players that want to have a very active role in defending their team while bringing heavy damage. Next up is Warrior, the rage-fueled titan. Warrior is known in the community as the de facto main tank. They don't have to main tank, but with their 3 forms of self-sustain that don't have a cast time and very simple rotation, they can easily thrive as the main tank. Warrior also has 2 combos, one that applies a damage buff and generates 20 beast gauge, and another that has a higher damage and generates 30 beast gauge. You use this beast gauge on hard-hitting abilities. There are 4 of them in total. 2 that are single target, 1 GCD, 1 OGCD, and 2 that are AoE, 1 GCD, 1 OGCD. Using Infuriate will instantly generate 50 beast gauge and give you access to a more powerful version of your single target or AoE beast gauge attack. Using either of these attacks will always decrease the cooldown of Infuriate by 5 seconds. Using Inner Release will let you spam out those GCD beast gauge attacks for a limited time at no cost and increase the duration of your damage buff by 10 seconds, ensuring that you will have it for the entirety of Inner Release. Warrior is great for people looking for a simple rotation and who enjoy being the main tank. And now for Dark Knight, the War Mage cloaked in shadows. Dark Knight has 1 combo, a simple 1-2-3 that generates 20 blood gauge, and a lot of OGCDs, many of which have secondary effects like restoring MP or health, and there are 2 that apply a damage buff. It's the same buff, just applied with different attacks, either a single target or an AoE. Just like Warrior, the gauge you generate is used on strong single target or AoE attacks. But unlike Warrior, Dark Knight has a 3rd option whereby you create a shadow of yourself that fights along you on the battlefield. The Blackest Night, or TBN for short, is a very powerful, dynamic, defensive cooldown that can be placed on yourself or teammate. It generates a shield that prevents up to 25% of that target's max HP, and if that entire value is blocked, you get to use Flood of Shadow or Edge of Shadow for free, those being the OGCD attacks that apply your damage buff. This is great for encouraging you to help out squishier classes when damage is coming out. Reason being, your max HP will always be higher than the rest of your teammates, so you're more likely to pop the shield by helping out other classes than by putting it on yourself. But if you use TBN and run out of mana and the shield doesn't pop, you run the risk of dropping your damage buff. The Dark Knight is great for players who want to be able to protect themselves as well as the team, even if they don't do it quite as effectively as other classes, and enjoy thinking on their feet. Last but certainly not least is Gunbreaker, the Queen's Blade, aka the DPS tank. Gunbreaker has the highest DPS potential of all the tanks. It uses a 1-2-3 combo to generate cartridges. These cartridges are used on high damage abilities like Burst Strike and the Continuation combo. Just like every other tank, Gunbreaker easily has the tools to make it through all content, but they often have to fight muscle memory. Tank defensive cooldowns are all OGCDs. Problem is that during your burst phase, you have between 6 and 9 OGCDs in a 20-second period, and that number seems to be going up in Endwalker. So if you need to use a defensive move during that burst phase, you may struggle to find space for it. So your continuation combo, which already has several OGCDs in it, may go from looking like this to something more like this. This need to adapt can make Gunbreaker seem squishy, because I keep seeing them die to things that other tanks don't die to. But they easily have everything they need to survive every fight, assuming you can execute your defensives without getting lost in your combo. All that said, Gunbreaker is for players looking to press a lot of buttons, make quick personal defensive decisions, and bring the absolute best DPS that the role has to offer. Before you all leave, I want to thank you all for your time, and do a quick plug for the Final Fantasy XIV Balance Discord. It's a great community-run Discord for people looking to advance in their class and become the absolute best they can. Tons of experts for any class have made boundless resources for the community to consume, whether it be learning an optimal rotation for Gunbreaker or Blue Mage or Red Mage, or figuring out what your best in slot is, learning openers. This is the place you want to go. I'll leave a permanent invite in the description for anyone who's interested. And stay tanky, Warriors of Light.